Bobby Jones on golf is one of my favorite golf books. I think it's because it reminds me of a time where golf had a great deal of tradition about style and adherence to rules of etiquette, things that I admire about the game. Now, he talked about ball position, and he was a little ahead of his time in that he thought that the ball position for him, ideally, was opposite the middle of his left foot. Now, if you fast forward a couple of generations to Jack Nicklaus, he was also advocating that, but it wasn't characteristic of how most golf was taught. Obviously, the clubs vary in length, and as they get shorter, the ball, historically, they would position more to the center or even right of center of the stance. And then as the club got longer, farther to the left. Now, contact with the ground is part of golf. And he recounted his preparation for the 1929 Open, where he was playing terribly. He just couldn't find the ball. And he always suggested that he thought that his 4-iron was the test. I seem to remember that Ben Hogan had a similar opinion, 4 or 5 iron. Our modern 5-iron is about the loft and length of the 4-iron that certainly Bobby Jones was using. And he thought that that was an emblem for the efficacy of the entire set. So it wasn't working very well while he was warming up for the round. And then a friend told him that his ball position appeared too far back. He moved it up and won. So ball position is, as he pointed out, a personal thing. But how I found it for my own game was that I, of course, used to hit fat, and it's annoying because the ball goes 10 yards and you've made a big mess. So I learned to form the swing looking for these features. I'd put a mark on the ground, here's a tee, and I would imagine it to be the ball and just try to hit the ground with my swing and ask, where did I hit the ground? Well, it's not quite enough to say, where did I hit the ground? It's also how. We don't want it to be a gouge, because that usually means that you've just done all sorts of extra inappropriate things with your right side. So we're looking and listening for a bouncing contact, a bump. You don't want to gouge into the soil, but you want to bump it. And so I would find that as I got that sound to be correct and the location of the start of the, not divot, but scuff would be at this marker, I noticed that how my legs operated had a lot to do with it, as well as, of course, the ball position. So my legs would actually initiate the downswing. My wrists would only straighten out later in the attack. And that's how I found the optimal ball position for that length of club. Now, as the club got longer, as I mentioned earlier, the ball's farther to the left generally. And the sound that you want with, say, a fairway wood, one of the hardest shots in golf, and very important because you need to go distance hunting in golf. It's a cross-country journey. Is because it's a flat surface, you want it to land almost like a duck's foot, where the heel of the foot hits the water first. That's the contact you want with a fairway wood. So you do want to get to the ground, but not gouging. Now, I have seen Arnold Palmer take a divot with a wood, so it's not entirely uncommon. But that bouncing contact, that brush bump, as I call it, is the way to hunt for ideal ball position. Now, one last point about the tradition of ball position is that Bobby Jones thought that moving the ball up in the stance, as they call it, farther to the left, would help to cure a slice, and that moving it back would help to cure a hook. It's ironic that even 3 generations later, I remember Lehman, British Open champion, Tom Lehman, who was advocating that moving the ball back would actually help him to draw the ball. So you've got to do your own experimenting.